UNICEF reports rise in malnutrition. Prime Minister opens nursing school for East Sepik. And fuel issues cripples police operations.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Saturday's news. Papua New Guineans know or ignore the fact that malnutrition is an ongoing health issue in the country. Blessed with land that produces organic supply of food, however, the challenge is providing a balanced meal for families. UNICEF highlights that most PNG mothers are not aware of the importance of providing a balanced meal for their children.
There are two main reasons why many children in the country are suffering from malnutrition. That is according to UNICEF Chief of Nutrition, Wissam Hazim. He said, most children do not have balanced or diverse meals, and the other reason is the lack of maternal and child health care services. Hazim said, once the severe symptoms of malnutrition are reached, most of these children will die in spite of the efforts to feed them properly.
When we say a child is malnourished, means the child is either short or thin or lacking vitamins or a combination of these three. Any combination. The child might be short and might be thin and might be having these skin lesions. The hair is very thin, red hair, easily fall.
Hazim said, it is important for children growing up to have healthy meals so that they get enough nutrients and vitamins to build a strong immune system. Most PNG mothers tend to feed their children with just carbohydrates or protein, which results in the child becoming obese. The Chief of Nutrition said, children will not die of malnutrition, but will die when infected with other diseases because their immune system is not strong to protect their body.
But they are not going to die in front of you because they are malnourished and they are thin. They will die when they get diarrhea. They will die when they get pneumonia. They will die when they get chest infection.
Mothers who are pregnant also need to eat healthy so that the baby develops well. Otherwise, they will give birth to low-weight children and the cycle continues.
You have overweight children and you have underweight children. So those children who are overweight are still called malnourished. And when they grow up, they will have a lot of diabetes, heart diseases, hypertension, all kinds of problems.
Patricia Chiamo, National EMTV News.
The need for more nursing officers for East Sepik is slowly bearing positive results. 2 days ago, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill opened the St. Benedict's Nursing College. Over 40 students are currently enrolled for the 2019 academic year.
Prime Minister's tour for East Sepik ended with a visit to the Divine Word Wiwe campus, which hosts the new nursing college. With East Sepik in dire need for more health officers, the college is said to alleviate shortage in its health workforce. Higher Education Minister Pila Niningi says more support will be given by the government and enrollment should increase in the next 2 years.
We can go up to 60 students, but this is just the beginning. We have a room, more classrooms, more facilities will do well, but this is just the beginning that we're starting off. So nursing is an important job.
There are 40 students enrolled for the 2019 academic year. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says with health and education a priority for the ruling government, learning facilities must be taken care of with a routine maintenance.
Many times we allow this infrastructure to decay and we just try to think that somebody else will come and build us a new one. We should get into the culture of maintenance a little bit more, where we need to have regular maintenance. If there's a leaking water, fix it. If there's a leaking roof, fix it. If there's a hole in the floor, fix it. That's the only way we can sustain this infrastructure so that it can benefit generations of our kids for many, many years.
Younger Southia MP and Planning Minister Richard Maru wants DHES to also lift the standard of the institution. He says courses must be comparable to accepted world standard.
As Planning Minister, that's my challenge to higher education and the National Council. We need to lift our game and prepare our nurses for the global market. That should be our aim in the future.
The nursing college is under the management of Divine Word University.
Officially opened, the Divine Word University, St. Benedict's Campus Nursing College on this 13th of February 2019.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Over 500 million kina worth of projects has been announced by the national government for West Sepik. In a recent visit to Vanimo, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says it's not just delivering basic services but help improve people's living standards. Among other projects announced by the PM include the fire service, a government agency not existing in West Sepik.
Several high-impact projects were announced by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill during his recent tour of the Momase region. In West Sepik, land has been identified and state agencies are working together to process a title for the establishment of a fire station.
Na only by now, some land title na by Banisim na working fire station. Na two by me bla allocate one bla fire truck bla APEC only current 22 bla fire truck come one bla by come lo Vanimo by me put him lo Civica.
This would be the first build for the province. Speaking on behalf of other West Sepik MPs, Telefomin MP Solan Mirisim says Vanimo needs a fire station as the town develops.
When houses got burned, no one came into play to assist. And we need immediate fire service in Vanimo. Yes. And also a car. Fire service must come to Vanimo as a provincial headquarters.
With West Sepik sharing borders with Indonesia, there is great opportunity for a major trade route out of the Vanimo port. The government is already talking with development partners for a new wharf for West Sepik.
Now, last time I'm going to Korea, I'm talking about Korea. Funding this wharf. Funding this wharf one time, funding wharf so closer through the Korean government, by you may develop in this land.
The Prime Minister also announced the upgrade of roads in Vanimo town. He says the Works Department will be returning next week with engineers for scoping for the road project.
By making sure by Caramol engineers come, you may start upgrading the Selim all of Vanimo town. By you may Selim all of Vanimo town. It will be next week for this, so please support the member of this work.
Over 500 million kina worth of projects was announced by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
With Frida Gold Mine, the first mining project for West Sepik, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says government wants a better deal so people receive maximum benefit. Speaking in Vanimo, PM O'Neill assured leaders and the public that the focus for all development for mining, oil and gas projects must see landowners and levels of government receive direct benefits. He says unlike past deals in the mining sector, developers must take heed of demands by landowners and the state.
Me play put him all this company notice, also by me play renegotiate all this benefit, so that the people blue me, provincial government blue me, and the online blue me Papua New Guinea, they got big benefit inside all this mine. And resources blue me, you must benefit past time, the investor must benefit number 2 time. And that's the way we are negotiating the LNG, that's the way we are negotiating Wafi Gopo today. It's going to be a better deal, and it will be the deal and setting benchmark for future projects in the country.
Some police operations in Port Moresby have been affected following fuel shortages for police vehicles. This has affected police responses to public complaints and carrying out normal police patrols. Tekla Gunga reports.
The shortage in fuel supply for police vehicles in the NCD command has been experienced over 3 weeks. Some days, officers are able to refill, but other days, when the fuel supply is low, they cannot. The results of the fuel shortage include police officers not being picked up on time for duties, responding late to public complaints, and not carrying out regular police patrols. The responsibility of ensuring there is enough fuel supply for police officers falls under the Police Transport Division, based at the police headquarters at Konidobu. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Pero Drono says while the police department has been made aware of this concern, officers working in the NCD command are managing it well. But Drono says he needs support from authorities to assist where they can. And on a related note, the police prison van that is used to transport suspects under police custody is still undergoing repairs. The breakdown of this important van has affected court hearings, especially for those whose cases are before the district courts. Thaklagunga, National MTV News.
PNG's first ever reality TV series will be premiering on MTV at 9:30 p.m. tonight. Green Angels is a 13-episode TV series that follows the life-saving work which takes you inside the world of the St. John's Ambulance Service. MTV has been following the work of the St. John Ambulance Service for the last 10 months. Several MTV crew were assigned to travel on the ambulance with the St. John personnel both during the day and night. The outcome was more than 1,000 hours of footage. The TV series Green Angels will show every Saturday night at 9:30 p.m. starting tonight. You're with National MTV News. Among stories after the break, a new water project for South Bougainville and a new road project in Namatanai, New Ireland and Morbe welcomes MV Yalibu. Stay tuned for details after the break. Papua New Guinea Defence Force's 2nd Royal Pacific Islands Regiment, based in Wewak, has a new commanding officer. He is Lieutenant Colonel Nelson Rapola, who takes over from outgoing Commander Lieutenant Colonel Rafael Yapu. A colourful parade was staged at Tuar PIR, based in Moem Barracks, to signify the change in command. Tuar PIR is the 2nd battalion in PNGDF that carry out border security operations mainly at the southern PNG-Indonesian border. Chief of PNGDF, Major General Gilbert Turopo, was present with East Sepik Governor Alan Burr to witness the event. Lieutenant Colonel Yapu will be taking up his new post as Director Land Preparation at Force Preparation Branch. In an electoral visit last week, the member for South Bougainville and Deputy Opposition Leader Timothy Masiu joined his brother, the ABG member for Kono constituency and Police Minister Willie Masiu, in the remote Orava village, where they jointly launched the Orava Water Supply Project. The water supply project was delivered through funding from the district's DSIP.
The launching of the project honors a commitment made by MP Masiu and his brother during an electoral tour to the village in 2017, where the people challenged them to deliver and not make empty promises. With the launching of the water supply project, it now enables the Orava people to have access to clean water at their doorstep, as well as relieving mothers from the burden of walking long distances and climbing mountains to fetch water for their daily needs. During the launching, Masiu urged the people of Orava to look after the water taps so it can sustain them in the future.
Look out him good supply water below you. Look out him good so that this la project, this la water by him look out him you go to. Please, no can make it about. Help him you yet. Now you make sure that everything samas warami pulam this la drain. No one please you clean him.
Village chiefs and leaders commended the leaders for living up to their word and delivering the first ever project in the village since independence.
Time warakam lo ablomi mi tinting lomi meeting. Olo kata community loya bali gatol good blood toilet, sawa, septic. Was mi bla loya sa yusin solo rata sol na MDN sa tu lol pupuk lo night lol mama na ulapun lo yusin solo ra. So now mi bla maso sambai. Mi bla gatol good blood sawa room na septic.
According to the people, they were a neglected and forgotten community that had not received any form of government service since independence. Before turning the tap to launch the water project, Masui told the people that they are free from the hardships faced over the years, and now they have clean water supply accessible to them. Patricia Chiamo, National EMTV News.
New Ireland Governor Sir Julius Chan recently announced major roadwork to commence this year on the east coast of Susurunga and Connemara areas of Namatanai. This is under the provincial government's road upgrading and sealing program. Governor Chan said his government set aside 3 million kina in the 2019 budget to upgrade the Muliama to Metlick Road before sealing in the long term. Sir Julius said upgrading and sealing from the end of new road construction at Lipek, then back to Rativis. Meanwhile, the Buluminski Highway is hoped to be officially opened next month. The Australian Centre for International Agriculture Research has commenced new research to help improve management of the cocoa pod borer pest in the country. Project leader Dr. Olivia Reynolds says one of the challenges of addressing the cocoa pod borer has been lack of knowledge about the pest. A small team of PNG and Australian experts are currently in PNG visiting East New Britain, East Sepik and the autonomous region of Bougainville to sample the cocoa pod borer to help answer this question. The team will collect samples and resolve identification of this species, which will help scientists develop the best way to manage the pest in PNG. Madang Governor Peter Yama has highlighted concerns of gross abuse by public servants of Madang in the past 20 years. Governor Yama said huge sum of funding has been abused with nothing to show for in delivering goods and services. Yama says for 2019, public servants in Madang will be scrutinized, including use of public assets. Governor Yama expressed all these when presenting the 2019 provincial budget of 312 million kina to Treasurer Charles Abel in Port Moresby yesterday.
Prior to presenting the budget of 312 million kina, Governor Yama regrettably admitted the level of abuse within the Madang provincial government. He says state assets, government grants and many other public properties have been unaccounted for.
But I'm pretty sure there's some more money has been given to the Department of Trade. Then also money is gone. So over 200 million has been used. This is the same syndrome. We have the same problem in Madang. It's a system that has been operating in Madang for a long time.
For 2019, Governor Yama is sticking to the basics of a workable mechanism where services will be delivered fairly to all districts in Madang province. He says public servants' performance has been very poor.
In the next 2 years, the entire Madang district will have administration, public servants on the ground with the people, which we have never had that before. So that is one of the biggest things that I'm driving this budget, and to get the government service delivery to the people. Because people have missed out. And it's a very sad thing for Madang. I do not know how all this money has been used in what Madang only, money used for public servants, money used for contracts, money used for high cars.
The Prime Minister recently visited Madang and launched 3 impact projects: the new airport upgrade, a 4-lane road and 6 bridges. Treasurer Charles Abel says this is to show government's commitment in helping provincial governments.
Have this very important partnerships going on with our provincial governments. We want to share power, we want to share resources, we share responsibility, and hopefully the idea is that it translates into better service delivery for our people.
Meanwhile, with the handing over of the PMI Jet project to the Madang provincial government, the Treasurer says the initial project loan agreement is under review.
Prime Minister announced that, for example, the handing over the management of the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone, which has difficulties, to the people who are on the ground to manage it, and that's the provincial government. So Treasury will be doing our very best to finalise that revised loan agreement because we changed the scope of the project.
Jacob Power Jr., National EMTV News.
Members of the Lutheran community welcome the newest addition to their revived shipping fleet, the MV Yalibu. The ship arrived from the Philippines after a 10-day journey. MV Yalibu is expected to alleviate the shipping difficulties faced by coastal people in the Morobe province.
Lutherans in Morobe, the arrival of the passenger and cargo ship is a big relief. When the old Lutheran shipping company was liquidated, many people were left without an alternative. The cost of goods and services increased for rural coastal areas, and many other services like health and education suffered. This morning the mood was different as Sing Sing groups welcomed the guests, including a Lutheran delegation from Yalibu in the Southern Highlands.
Base long lane, but go long Solwara, long Finsaven, I go to Wasu, Sion, I go.
MV Yalibu is setting new standards in passenger travel in Papua New Guinea. There are 2 decks for passengers, including indoor and outdoor seating and cargo areas. The Filipino crew took 10 days to travel to Papua New Guinea, and this week they will hand over the ship to a new crew who will begin using it in PNG waters.
I think church also have been used long, just like intervention program for me, will bring him over the borderline again. So on speech for me, me by walking one time church na come.
Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Ley.
Stories making headlines overseas. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, school children across the UK have held mass protest as part of a global campaign calling for action against climate change. 15,000 students walked out of class urging the British government to declare climate change emergency.
Different voices, one clear message. Today was a day led by the children, for the children and their future. Thousands campaigned in dozens of protests across the country. A call for action in Sheffield.
What we want, climate action!
Chanting in Ullapool. Marching in Brighton. A real sense of urgency in Cardiff, and in Manchester there was music.
This is clearly the first time many of these pupils have ever walked out of school, and just by looking at the age of some of these, the first time they've ever been on a protest. But their message here is clear. They want to protect the future of the planet and safeguard their future.
The action is part of a much wider global movement inspired by 16-year-old Greta Thunberg from Sweden. She's been striking from school every Friday, calling on her government to lower its carbon footprint.
You are not mature enough to tell it like it is. Even that burden you leave to us children.
Her persistence later sparked protests across the world, from Australia to Belgium and Ireland earlier this week. The government has said today's protests are a waste of lesson time and increasing teachers' workload. But the threat of school disciplinary action pales in significance to the danger these youngsters think the planet is under from climate change.
Well, they might be an extra attraction, but huge chunks of ice that have broken off our largest glacier are also creating some problems for tourism operators. It's caused by what's called glacial calving, and it happens every couple of years. But guides at the Tasman Glacier say this event's the biggest they've ever seen. Jess Cartwright went for a close-up look at the icebergs.
A breathtaking and rare view. Tasman Lake now home to hundreds of icebergs, some the size of buildings.
You know, it's the biggest one I've seen. We estimate at least conservatively at least 4.5 million tonnes.
The spectacular scenes the result of the Tasman Glacier calving.
When you get a lake in front of a glacier, as you can imagine, the water in the lake is much warmer than the ice. So the water actually melts the ice near the surface of the lake and sort of undercuts the ice cliff. And what happens is that makes the ice cliff unstable and large chunks of ice break off.
And while it's a natural process, there is a link to climate change, because this lake's only existed since 1990, created by melting ice as the glacier retreats, like many others across the country.
We're rapidly losing ice because the amount of snow going into our glaciers high in the mountains is not enough to compensate the amount of ice we're losing.
When the calving happened, huge chunks of ice broke off, the wind pushing them down the lake to here, creating this massive cluster of icebergs. It's even delaying operations for tourism providers who use the lake, their jetty littered with icebergs.
We still have guides, on duty, on the jetty, explaining what people are looking at.
But there's no complaints from tourists, excited to see nature in action.
I think it's very awesome, actually.
There's 2/3 underneath the water and another third on top.
And the spectacle will be around for a few months yet, due to the sheer size of the icebergs.
To the US, it's been described as a gross abuse of power, and now the first lawsuits have been filed in response to Donald Trump's declaring a national emergency. The US president made a rare controversial move to secure funding for his long-promised wall on the southern border with Mexico.
President Trump in a fresh brawl for his border wall.
I'm going to be signing a national emergency. We're talking about an invasion of our country.
Declaring illegal immigration a national emergency, which allows him to bypass Congress and unlock billions of dollars from the Department of Defense and Treasury to build a wall. Each day, 1,000 migrants are picked up crossing illegally, like this mother and daughter from Guatemala, met at a gap in the fence by US Border Patrol. My little girl is hungry, she says, and I don't have any money.
The smugglers are using those people that they're trying to claim asylum as a distraction to overload my resources so they can run drugs in other areas. That's a huge threat.
Donald Trump campaigned on building a border wall, but the presidential powers he's invoking are usually reserved for acts of terrorism or natural disasters and not to fulfill campaign pledges. But 2 years into his presidency, and Donald Trump is clearly frustrated and desperate to deliver that wall to his voters. He's been unable to do a deal in Congress, and he's facing a backlash from some of his most prominent supporters. So it was now or never for the president, no matter the consequences. Opponents are calling it lawless and unconstitutional.
Make no mistake, Congress will defend our constitutional authorities in every way that we can.
And we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court.
Although the president probably didn't help his legal case with these remarks today.
I could do the wall over a longer period of time. I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather do it much faster.
And that's why Trump's opponents say this national emergency is manufactured.
Still in the US, at least 6 people are dead and police officers are among the injured in the mass shooting in Chicago. It happened in a factory warehouse in Aurora on the outskirts of the city. Police say the shooter had worked there for 15 years and was sacked.
An active shooter situation.
It's a call America knows all too well.
One officer is reported down at this time, active shots being fired.
Armed officers storming an industrial complex with dozens of workers trapped inside and a gunman on a spree.
Officers arrived and were fired upon immediately. 2 of the initial 4 officers entering the building were shot. Additional officers began to arrive and were also fired upon.
5 officers were shot in the siege and were rushed to hospital. Things were even worse inside.
At this time, we have confirmed that 5 victims are deceased.
Police chasing the armed man deep into the building.
What I saw was the guy running down the aisle and with a pistol and with a laser on it.
Before the shooting was over. That suspect, an employee, 45-year-old Gary Martin, also shot dead.
We know that he was a 15-year veteran, and information that we have indicates that he was being terminated today.
Today is a sad day in the city of Aurora. For so many years, we have seen similar situations throughout our nation, and the horrible feeling that we get when we see it on the news. To experience it firsthand it's even more painful.
President Trump's praised police for their response, but that hasn't gone down well.
It's a shame that mass shootings such as this have become commonplace in our country. It's a shame that a cold and heartless offender would be so selfish as to think he has the right to take an innocent life.
5 more lives lost to America's gun violence.
The Indian government's warning Pakistan will pay a heavy price after a suicide bomb attack in Kashmir that killed more than 40 Indian paramilitary soldiers. Kashmir is a region divided between the two countries, but each claims the territory is their own. With 3 wars fought over who should control it, Pakistan has denied any involvement in the suicidal attack.
These are the anguished families, grieving for the fathers, sons and brothers killed in Indian-administered Kashmir's worst terrorist atrocity in recent memory. Their coffins carried by fellow soldiers from the paramilitary force, which yesterday became the target of Islamist extremists. The men's deaths have led to a new escalation between the subcontinent's 2 great nuclear powers, India and Pakistan. This is all that was left of the bus, part of a huge military convoy of Indian forces. This is said to be the suicide bomber, Adil Ahmed Dar, one of a new generation of Kashmiris radicalized in a region where the majority of the population is Muslim. The Islamist militant group, Jaish-e-Mohammed, has claimed responsibility. Based in Pakistan, it has been fighting for Kashmir's independence for nearly 20 years. India says it has incontrovertible evidence that Pakistan was directly involved.
I want to tell the terrorist outfits and their patrons that they have committed a huge mistake and they will have to pay a big price for this.
Pakistan strongly denies the allegation and has accused India of carrying out human rights violations in the past. India has hundreds of thousands of troops stationed here, but security is getting worse. After the last major attack on Indian forces 2 years ago, it launched military strikes inside Pakistan. This attack has enraged many Indians who are convinced Pakistan is trying to destabilize their country.
Protests like these have erupted in several parts of the country and are helping build pressure on Narendra Modi's government to take what people like this believe is decisive action.
If they have attacked, whether directly or through terrorists, and we need to show our strength and retaliate.
Tonight, India's Prime Minister laid a wreath for the victims. The question is, what his next step will be.
Up next, we'll take a look at some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The MRDC-sponsored Port Moresby Rugby Football League 9's tournament kicked off yesterday with some entertaining matches. Teams showing signs of a strong season ahead for the Port Moresby-based Rugby League competition.
Bone-crunching tackles. A serving for rugby league fans in the Port Moresby Rugby Football League. The 9's format rugby league always giving entertaining fixtures to get teams prepared for the 2019 season. More field space, more open running space and some good line breaks as well. Paul Marafel thankful to the sponsors, Mineral Resources Development Company.
In Mano, all the directors at MRDC, especially External Affairs General Manager and External Affairs Manager, Mr. Imbi Tagune and Stephen Evekone.
A good turnout by teams for the annual pre-season tournament. Crowds, sun, tries and good entertaining rugby league.
32 men teams and 8 women teams. We tried to have 16 women teams to complement the 32 men team tournament we always have annually. It was not possible.
Two-time winners Tarangau not to be taken lightly.
Tarangau always come good at the 9s, even though as the main season progresses, they don't do that well. But I can tell you, Tarangau are well prepared to defend it for a third time.
it was also an opportunity for the intercity teams to get some match fitness.
Gulf Iso, NCDC Vipers and Central Dabaris, they have supported the tournament by using the event to give some match fitness and preparedness for their squad.
Not to be overlooked, the volunteers who work behind the scenes to make it a successful event.
Our coordinators, the casuals we have engaged, all the teams also for giving us that trust, showing us the trust to take part in another Maserati 9 tournament.
The tournament ends next week Sunday with the finals. Frile Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
The ICTSI PNG Palais visited Hagara Primary School yesterday morning to donate school bags and stationery. Hagara Primary School is the third school, together with Tatana and Baroni Primary Schools, to receive donations from a globally recognized company, ICTSI South Pacific, the sponsors of the national women's rugby team.
Hagara Primary School is the third school to be given school bags and stationery by the PNG Palais. First to receive their bags and stationery were students of Hagara Elementary School. The school children were happy to meet the national rugby players who gave them a bag each containing school books and pencils.
On behalf of the Board of Management and Hagara Elementary Administration, I would like to thank Palais team and ICTSI company for using their own initiative to present the bags to the children. The bags they are presented to the children containing of exercise books and pencils, which will help them in their activities in the classrooms.
This is the first time for the school to receive donations from a global company, ICTSI South Pacific.
This is the first of its kind I have seen here in one of the biggest multicultural schools, which is Hagara Elementary School. I wanted to take care of them and look after them to help them, because they'll be using them for a purpose to carry their bags and pencils and other stationeries to come to school.
Impact of the villages.
Manager of the Motukea International Terminal, Gerhard Meyer, says it is part of ICTSI's community initiative to donate bags and stationery to schools around the Motukea area.
Yeah, we've done Baruni, Tatana and now Hagara. There'll be more initiatives coming around, as I said, to the Motukea Tabu and impact communities. It's to show our contribution and our presence that we do care for the community.
He says ICTSI will continue to deliver services and support communities through various initiatives into the future. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with more after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To cricket, yet another stunning inning from Martin Guptill has sealed a one-day series win over Bangladesh in Christchurch. The home side overcoming a series of dropped catches earlier in the day before Guptill took control.
Guptill back to his very best, back-to-back one-day hundreds, equalling former opener Nathan Astle's record of 16. Guptill the backbone in another successful run chase.
Worked away on the onside, and it could go all the way. The one-day international century, number 16 for Martin Guptill.
Batting first and attempting to keep their series alive, the Bangladesh openers were lucky to survive.
Oh, trouble. Williamson hits all over.
An early opportunity gone begging, with Tom Latham unable to get to the stumps. However, that miss didn't prove costly.
Straight up. Lockie Ferguson will have a go at this. Oh, that's a great catch. It really is.
But after beginning so well, the Black Caps started to let things slip, with Ross Taylor getting a case of the dropsies.
Edged and put down Ross Taylor.
Two dropped catches by the usually reliable hands of Taylor, but then everything started to click and stick. But after losing top-order wickets, Bangladesh started a recovery, all out for 226 in the 50th over. The new opening combination of Guptill and Henry Nicholls again proving strong.
And Guptill hits that miles up in the air, and it is long enough as well.
The hero in Napier showing some serious form.
Over the offside this time. Oh, that is a great stroke. Even better.
But after a solid opening stand, local man Nicholls couldn't match the power of his partner, out for just 14. His last chance to impress as an opener before the World Cup. But Guptill kept hitting the sweet spot.
How's the timing from Guptill?
The Black Caps and Guptill hitting form in their last one-day series before this year's World Cup.
The Maori Indigenous Rugby League sides had passionately opened the NRL season in Melbourne. While the All-Stars match proved one-sided in the end, it was about more than what was on the scoreboard.
Proud cultures coming face to face on a special night in rugby league. The revived All-Stars fixture off to a fiercely spectacular start before the first whistle had even blown.
When we went down and the trill went up, I could just feel all these, see all these goosebumps on him.
When the whistle did go, there was no shortage of expected action.
And shifting to the right-hand side, I think we've got the first four-pointer of the year.
While Dane Gagai can lay claim to the first try in the history of this fixture for the Māori side, it only sparked the Indigenous to life. Their 2 tries in the first quarter, grabbing them the lead, with a celebration fitting for the spectacle.
Oh, the Fox again! Josh Shadow card!
The Māori hit back midway through the second quarter in the same fashion as the first, but the try of the evening to the hosts set them on their way.
And the chase is being led by a long way by Bevan French to score a spectacular try.
Another before the halftime break, and one after it, leaving the Māori side too far back. But the 34-14 win to the Indigenous seemed a secondary part of the night for those taking part.
It just means a lot to me to be Māori and to put on the jersey and to go out there and run beside people of my blood.
And the calls are already starting to bring the match to New Zealand.
I reckon it'd be massive, yeah, it'd be huge. You know, I know the people will get right behind it.
The new league season off to a memorable start with a fixture many hope is here to stay.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we return.
Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, a shower or two right across the region in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerama, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, mostly fine in Lae, shower or two in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, a shower or two right across the region in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokoporabao, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, a shower or two in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, and fog, then cloudy weather in Mount Hagen.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the way it is this Saturday, 16th of February 2019. Now, a reminder to viewers again, EMTV's reality TV series Green Angels premieres this evening at 9:30 p.m. Stay tuned for that. On behalf of the news team right around the country, I'm Helen Seah. Good night.